Hey guys, Tyler2K here. Today we're going to take a look at the Leroy trailer. More specifically, this will be the supplement to the breakdown that I made. I don't know if it was last week or the other week, I can't remember. Whatever, top right corner, go ahead and click on this. So yeah, this is once again a long form series where I go over the stuff I didn't talk about in the trailer breakdowns. Basically, if there was small details or things we've learned after the fact or whatnot, that will be reserved for these videos. So I plan on doing all of the characters, kind of going back on them, getting to a point where, I give you the complete picture. Also, my current plan is with the Law and Nina trailers just to do a long form version of those videos. So yeah, because the breakdowns take so long and I have a feeling the real trailers are going to start up soon again. So yeah, let's go ahead. Let me pause this and let me slow it down. We'll go ahead and talk about what I didn't cover at the time. So, oh yeah, as usual, these are completely, everything shown can change. This is a trailer, and not only is this trailer, this is also speculation on my part. I know some people are going to argue with me. That's perfectly fine. I'm here to have discourse. But keep in mind, even stuff that I might be right about might change by the time of it coming out. So, yeah, just take everything with a grain of salt, although I'm not going to give you like random stuff like Leroy has a laser or something like that, right? It's just stuff that we've seen thus far, and that's all I'll talk about. On the future videos, we'll have access to the PDF with more information on the old characters, and I'll link that in the description below. So yeah, Leroy Smith. Okay, yeah, so everyone, myself included, presume this is back 3 simply because this seems to be a universal decision that Namco has done. It's a homing high that has usually some sort of special property on it, dealing chip damage. Once again, she turns red. In this case with Leroy, he does transition into Hermit stance. I think it's funny, like they honestly should have made this back 4. Because when he goes into Hermit, I don't know if you guys have noticed this. This bothered the shit out of me when I made the video. So he does back 3. He steps, and then he like puts his leg up. Like, imagine if this was back 4. Now, granted, back 4 should probably be a mid. But, like, it would make so much more sense if this was back 4, and he just, like, moved his leg into Hermit. So it's like, whatever. It's just something that kind of bothered me. But yeah, everyone presumes that's back 3. But yeah, here's something interesting. So we see Hermit 3. We get the counter hit sprite. In case you don't know, this slash, and thanks to whoever called it like a month ago that this is a counter hit slash. Yeah, this is a counter hit slash. So you would think maybe it would tell you counter hit only when it was really it really mattered. Like for instance, we see later in the video when Leroy goes for 1-1 into rolling punch. You can hit confirm 1-1. You would think it's like, maybe a counter hit splash or slash if there's some special property. But no, here we see Hermit 3-4. It's the exact same move. So not only is it the exact same move, the property is the same. It's +1 on hit. So he interrupts, with a power crush, but it's like, I don't know. I obviously it's like a universal decision, I guess, to make the counter hit spark there, but you would think they would try to cut down on just clutter, so on and so forth. Okay, so first real important thing we can talk about here, his power crush. So this almost certainly is forward 1+2. This is almost certainly forward 1+2 for a couple of reasons. First and foremost, Rage Drive is gone. Inner Splice Rage Drive, forward 1+2, which is his pushing attack that causes wall chip damage. Second of all, his current Power Crush, which same thing, let me go ahead and just keep going with the inner splicing, is down forward 1+2. As we talked about before, one of two things. Down forward 1+2 is now a universal input for Rage Art, so no character will have a down forward 1+2 anymore. It might give you something generic, and who knows, maybe they'll spice it up in the future by adding something. But yeah, for the most part, down forward 1+2 is a dead input. They've decided to unify all the inputs for all the characters to be Rage Art. So regardless of who you're playing as, you can either do, I think it's R2 for Rage Art, or down forward 1+2. So that's the second thing. Third of all, down forward 1+2 with Leroy is actually a wall bounce. Same thing in T8. Wall bounce mechanics are gone. Currently, they're gone from the game. The game is definitely designed more to be a high risk, medium reward, I would say. We'll talk about that eventually. But overall, despite Namco constantly saying, oh, this game's designed to be aggressive, aggressive, aggressive. Again, a lot of things they're showing are tending to be the opposite. So, yeah, just keep that grain of salt still with even what Namco is saying. And actually today, what's he called? I might as well shout it out here. Harada did say that the netcode is not just being changed, but there also will be crossplay. So rollback is back or will be improved, which is probably going to be handled by Eureka. But more importantly, crossplay will be there, which is great because right now we're in a spot where overall the game itself is like 8 years old now, and it is definitely dying. Dying for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's old. Second of all, hype is starting to build here for Street Fighter 6. And third of all, yeah, there's no crossplay. So even though PC and PS4 are still very decently active for an old game, it would be much better if everyone could like cross mingle. And hey, that'll happen in T8. So yeah, this is almost certainly forward 1+2, which is obviously his old forward 1+2 input. Now it's with a knockdown state, no follow-up guaranteed here. And also that's pretty sizable push away for his Power Crush. Like this type of knockdown is very unusual, at least in T7. This might be more common in 8. We'll probably find out. But yeah, this is a good push. I mean, she has good loft to her going. So okay, so forward 2-1 getting blocked by back 2. We see the jab attack or the rolling punch follow up. Presumably rolling punch will still be -10 on block after back 2 canceled. We do see this new move. So people say this is down back 3. I am still in the vein where I believe this actually might be down 3. So down 3-2, the same thing, intersplice the footage here. The low high is so synonymous with Leroy that you couldn't see a world where it is getting removed. But at the same time, we do see down back 3 earlier in the video, and people will say, oh, that's a new stance cancel. We'll get to that because I definitely want to talk about that. But I have a feeling that this, despite the fact that it kind of looks similar to like down back 4, this is almost the same identical animation as full crouch down forward 4, the low option from Leroy, except obviously he's using his left foot here instead. Second reason why I think this is down 3-2 is because he transitions into Hermit. So if it wasn't for this transition, I would be like, oh yeah, this is like down 3+4 or something like that. But because the invisible low, which, at the same time, because I might as well say someone will complain, I'm sure, also looks very similar to Hermit back 4. Same thing, left leg, not his right leg though, so same thing, it's not quite synonymous. But yeah, entering into Hermit. So that's why I think it is down 3. Down 3-2 is gone, which maybe means that only, assuming Harang will be in the game, will be the only character with such a mechanic. I believe. I mean, low highs exist, but they're typically in the ballpark of +0. So maybe someone at Namco determined that down 3-4 or down 3-2, whatever character, is maybe too oppressive. And I can understand how that could be the case. This same thing goes to the fact that the game is not that aggressive. Like, honestly, I think people are going to be surprised with ultimately how the game is going to settle. I'm pretty confident about this. Okay, so here is what people say is now Hermit Hell Sweep. So rather than doing down back 3, he now has to access Hermit to gain access to his Hell Sweep. So one of two things here. So I'm very confident that down back 3, 1+2, the Hell Sweep, exists as it currently stands. And this is not a new Hermit attack. Instead, what I believe this to be is what is called a diagonal cancel. So for most characters in the game, you can cancel. Let's rewind to the beginning. When you're in full crouch and you don't have like a wall stand like 2 or whatever, you typically can perform a hop kick. So what happens is out of your full crouch, you perform an I-15 hop kick to basically give your 15. So that's called a diagonal cancel. So you're in full crouch, so down back, then you do up forward 4, so you go the opposite direction, then hit your 4 button, right? So that's called a diagonal cancel. Other characters, intersplice footage here, like for instance with Marduk, when Marduk is in VTS, same thing with Gigas, although that's a little bit of a weird topic. I probably won't talk about that here, but let's talk about, like I said, Marduk. You can actually perform or diagonal cancel out of VTS by tapping up forward. So from VTS, Marta can perform an up forward 3 or an up forward 4 because he's diagonal canceling essentially crouch state. So Leroy is in this weird place where his current stance, this hermit stance, is actually pretty bad. Now, if you're psychic, like you can completely annihilate your opponent with hermit, but for like 90, I want to say 8% of the situations, like if you guess wrong, you die. And that really stems from the fact that hermit, this stance itself, has to be essentially canceled into an attack. So hermit can be canceled via sidestep, tap up, tap down or right. Only problem is when you cancel hermit, not only are you initially starting at either -9 to like +3, then your sidestep cancel costs like I believe 17 frames. So it's very, very punishable. Now you can tap 3+4 to like stand down, but still it takes frames. The cancel itself is not instantaneous. So by adding the ability to diagonal cancel, that might give him the ability to both evade high, like for instance, if you can do down by 4, or in this case, down by 4 the high crush. But in this case, he's diagonal canceling, in my opinion, with down back 3, 1+2. And down back 3 still maintains, it's not truly a tracking move, or sorry, homing move. It just tracks him very well. Although against like Alyssa and a Lily, like it's not as good as versus someone else. So I still maintain that this is a diagonal cancel because that would tremendously help out Hermit as a stance even before we get to the buffs later. So if he could diagonal cancel right now, he would be significantly better from that change alone. Okay, so the Kane attack, I kind of briefly mentioned this, basically has two variations. So he has the Hell Sweep Kane, and then he has the Splat Kane. So in T7, basically the Kane is a catch-all. So he does like 3 mid attacks, and the final mid attack will either be a launch or a ground splat, depending on the state your opponent is in. So regardless of what happens, if they're in range and you have the frames, they get hit. In this case, though, by making it into like the Hell Sweep being an instant spin launcher, right? So we have the spin marker here. Basically takes away one of two things: the possibility of them right? If they hop kick, right, they're going to go over your Hell Sweep, and then obviously the game will not only you miss them, you like don't get the natural option select, but it being an instant spin means that the damage potential is reduced or lowered, because in order to continue the combo, if you want to do a longer combo, he'll have to do a heat burst, aka a bind, and that's only once per round, right? So yeah, this is a big deal. Also, the Rage Drive low starters are typically -14. So presuming that the Kane isn't like naturally, assuming it like doesn't jail or whatnot, or even if it does jail, this at least at the bare minimum will be -14 with T7 balancing. And this also goes to the fact that like T8 overall is balanced differently. So who knows, this might actually be launch punishable, presuming that the Kane on the low doesn't like stagger. Who knows, maybe the Kane staggers and Leroy's like -28 or something, right? But I think at the bare minimum this is going to be -14, just like what is he called, Double Chin Rage Drive. Okay, so yeah, instant spin launcher means the damage reduction is there. QCF2 follow-up. And then we see the new, I believe this to be back 1, because it hits on 12 frames. We talked about that in the other video. Some people are saying this is down forward 1. I'm not 100% sold because of how not only does down forward 1 have 2 different entries, including one into Hermit. Like I said, I'm not 100% sold, but at the same time, at this point it's almost semantics. So back 1 on becoming a 12 frame mid rather than 11 frame high, or down forward 1 now is a 12 frame mid instead of a 13 frame mid. I don't know, whatever. Also, it's a single attack. He doesn't do the follow-up hit until the animation changes, so I don't think anyone's talked about this being like a string. But like, you see how the animation ends? You see how his head bends? Yeah, this is a completely separate attack. So yeah, I believe this to be some sort of steel pedal. I don't know if it's between a grounded state and an airborne state, or if it's a proper ground hitting like OTG steel pedal. But the point remains, it seems to be some sort of follow-up attack, and this is obviously a canned animation. 443. Also, look at it once again, the knockaway on 443. This might cause wall splat. I highly doubt it though. Okay, so there we go. We see back one into rolling punch. The obviously the up back two parry that we talked about in the video. Now here is something interesting. So we have Hermit 4, 1+2. So keep in mind, look at this. Look at this combo structure, right? So wall splat, so 0 hits on the combo. Hermit 4, 1 hit on the wall. 1+2, that's a low slump, so that doesn't count. Although things kind of get funky. And now Hermit 1+2 into high splat. So this goes to my one video where I talk about maximizing combo potential in T8, top right corner. But keep in mind that this situation is very strange for a lot of reasons. So not only does he get the high splat here, so he could have probably power splatted, but then we get the rolling punch full hit. And not only do we get the rolling punch full hit, the 1+2 rolling punch ender hits on low slump. The down back 1-2 spin option. Presumably, this kind of goes to what we were talking about with the Asuka video. I presume this will be a mid because he's doing an uppercut. But yeah, we just don't have enough information. Although, look at the amount of height. Even compared, a Hermit 4 1+2, I guess, was basically the same equal height here. But yeah, this is a really high spin. So might, same thing, be preferred at the end of your combos at the wall. I wouldn't doubt it. Okay, and then we see the 1+2 push away. As we had seen in the Asuka video, this type of push away usually refers to heat dash canceling. So up forward 3+4, 1+2, open field I-14 Punisher for a knockdown, especially because 1+2, 1 is a heat engager. So maybe up forward 3+4, 1+2 might be the preferred option for 14. At least you get like the long range. 1+2 on 14 as a Punisher isn't terrible, but I think up forward 3+4 just does have superior range overall. Okay, so there we go. Back 3. Put him into a grounded state. Rolling punch hits. As we've seen before, this type of stun, to the best of my knowledge, means this is guaranteed. So that would mean back 3 into Hermit could be a very, very strong option. Obviously on counter hit, if it would prefer to cause this. And I should also feel like I should say here that also leads us to believe that back 3 will probably be in the ballpark of -9, assuming they continue with like T7 balancing. But I don't know if I mentioned this in the other video, but that also probably means that Hermit 1+2 is gone. So Hermit 1+2 was the wall bounce option. After auto low reversal, Leroy basically had 3 options. He had 2-1 for knockdown to the right. He had Hermit 4 1+2. I might as well interject the video here. Hermit 4 1+2 for like knockdown, and then the best one he could possibly do if the wall was nearby was Hermit 1+2. So anytime you get the auto low reversal, one of those 3 options would work. But Hermit 1+2 was a wall bounce and thereby a launcher if the wall wasn't like really immediately close to you. So since wall bounces are gone, this goes to what we talked about with the power crush. That means that Hermit 1+2 is probably rolling punch now. So not only that, back 3 counter hit into Hermit 1+2 is guaranteed. And then, as I just talked about, Hermit 1+2 rolling punch ender with a 1 is a heat engager. Also, I feel like I should mention this because I still think there is a lot of confusion over what heat engager means. So yeah, heat engager does mean it can be heat dash canceled, but massive misconception here. Heat engagers aren't typically safe on block, and if you know, rolling punch 1 is launch punishable on block. So if you improperly hit confirm the 1+2, and even though it's normally heat engager, if you don't have heat mode activated, you're getting launched. So this case is only possible because this Leroy player hit confirm, counter hit back 3 into rolling punch into heat engager, which automatically activates. So keep in mind, this isn't like, oh, hey, I'm going to do whatever I want. Heat Engager is a way that the game, like balance-wise, has specifically slowed down the game by forcing a 50-50 rather than granting an instant knockdown or wall spot. So, like, yeah, I won't get into the rant here. I'll talk about it later, but keep that in mind. Okay, so now Leroy's in heat. Heat smash. So, yeah, I won't talk about it. So far, it does appear that Heat Engager guarantees heat smash. I don't know for a fact. It's still one of the big, like, mysteries. It appears to be that way, but still, we don't have any confirmation that that is the case. Okay, down 1+2 is now a Heat Engager. So no longer causes knockdown. Also, the knockdown present, it only occurs on counter hit. So actually, this is a pretty big buff by giving him down 1+2 into Heat Engager. So rather than being, I think, +6S or +7S, it's now plus frame Heat Engager instead. Okay, now we see Rolling Punch follow-up. And notice how more than two things, he already is in heat mode, but you see like this massive flurry of attacks and whatnot, which leads me to believe, as I did mention in the video, in the trailer breakdown, that this probably is Leroy's special mechanic. So I think he's designed to be a fast, aggressive character who deals a ton of chip damage. This whole series, right, is completely doing a lot of damage of chip, probably 2 to 3 damage, talked about it before, per strike on block. And then on top of that, he finishes it, and then he dashes it to keep a momentum going. In which case, as I mentioned, hit confirm, and there we go. See the counter hit strike on the first hit of 1, 1, 1, 1+2, and then it's 2, I think. Oh, it's 1 again. Okay, into 1, which is, of course, a knockdown, which is a tremendous, tremendous change. So here's something I did not mention. So the first thing I did mention is that this was a heat, what do they call it? A wall smash? God, a wall. I can't think of it's like, I think a wall smash, right? So basically no longer caused knockdown. They did nerf it into 5.0. But then also, gave you plus frames that did more frames at the wall. Second thing is if you compare Leroy 1-1, 1+2, 1 to Lars 1-1-1, we do see that Lars 1-1-1 is actually a Heat Engager. So assuming that G-Clef cannons will all have this, I guess, universality to them, I have no doubt that Leroy 1-1, 1+2, 1 will be a Heat Engager. So this does go to the possible idea that you want for certain characters to pop your heat mode instantly, as soon as possible. So when you have a character who might do an ungodly amount of chip damage and gains access to like a knockdown G-Clef, man, just chef's kiss, beautiful, right? You're doing a ton of chip, a ton of pressure. If anything, Leroy might be up there on the most aggressive characters in the game. Probably as it stands, Leroy and Kazuya, with Jack just slightly beneath them on aggressiveness in T8. So I think characters like Leroy will be what I believe like BNE or Bandai Namco Entertainment really, really kind of strive for in this game. So for that reason alone, Leroy, as I mentioned, is going to be a menace. Leroy will be very strong, and I wouldn't doubt it, to be honest, if the meta with Leroy when he first comes out, and maybe going on to the future, will be heat burst instantly, rolling punch. Like that'll be the gameplay going forward. Okay, so he's in heat smash right now, or sorry, not heat smash, heat mode. We see down back 1+2, parry, and obviously law back 1-2-2. As you see, his hand glowing is a Heat Engager. Doesn't matter, Leroy auto parry option into Heat Dash, thereby being a full combo, which is actually really nice. Also note how, as I mentioned, the slide animation destroys the ground, so it's one way to tell everyone that this move essentially can be Heat Dashed. So, and then we see the new 4-4-4 1+2 spin option, which to be honest, probably won't be that good at the wall, but will be good for carry for sure into the knockdown cane. So as I talked about earlier in this video, the Hell Sweep version of the cane will be the launcher causing spin. This probably will still work against a standing opponent, although I believe it would just splat them into the ground. That's not to say at certain like wall positioning or breakable floor or breakable wall you can't get a combo extension on initial hit, but I believe for like most of the stages without a stage gimmick nearby, the best he can do is just a ground punches down back 2, which he does here, down back 2 1+2. So if it hits a standing opponent, it will probably just splat him to the ground and not allow you to get a combo. So once again, that goes to the fact that by segmenting the staff, you have to choose what you want to do. Do you want to launch or do you want to combo extend? And the game will not reward you if you use the staff in the wrong situation. So I like it personally. I don't like having catch-all moves. That's one of the nice things with getting rid of the Rage Drive system is that certain characters I talked about before, haves and have-nots, are significantly better than others just because their Rage Drive presence makes it so. Okay, and obviously this one probably talked to death by everyone, including myself. Back 1+2, the I-12 counter hit gun is still a counter hit launcher. So yeah, that's not to say the combo won't be, good, if down 3 is gone and stuff like that. He might have to instant 4for4 1+2 for a spin to hit him on that low. QCF2 probably won't work, so damage potential is reduced. But still, in a game where Magic 4 are gone, like Leroy having gun, even regardless of how punishable it is. Now, granted, if it's minus 15, well, then it's maybe not as good. But it doesn't matter. If it's still minus 11 or even minus 12, it's probably perfectly acceptable to use. So, okay, that will basically do it here for the Leroy supplement and speculation video. Like I said, I'll probably think of something like a sexier name here. But yeah, that'll do it for today. If you have questions, comments, concerns, YouTube comments, Reddit, Twitch, Twitter. Otherwise, like usual, I hope you guys have a great day. Later all.